Welcome back to Route Double. And where did we leave off? Body and soul. After extinguishing the fire, she began planning how to escape from the connecting passageway. Eventually, rescue workers appeared. Ah, yes. We're in Labo now. Ah, yes, they were doing their, emergency, raid of sorts on Labo. With evidence that they are illegally keeping human test subjects imprisoned. So essentially, similar to Q, but with an actual mandate to protect communicators and not just wanting to get the test subjects to fuel their own selfish goals. So, good chance that the ESP Bureau might actually be the positive middle ground in all this.
私は副隊長の立花。こちらは森部隊員です。
で、こっちがさっき救助した民間人のユーリだよ。
民間人？私以外にもこの事故に巻き込まれた人がいたの？
This also explains why Enna was so keen on digging through the computers down here. A girl named Yuuri looked at Enna with fearful eyes. Yuuri, the same name as Yuuri Kotono. Something's bothering me. Looks like the best course of action is to put on the veil of an ordinary person for a while and work with him for now. Besides, she had to search for an exit anyway, and she was also worried about Kuroda's and Higa's safety as well. Enna decided to work with this group. She took the AD just as Kazami had instructed. Through her work experience, Enna had already gained knowledge about the dangers of WX particles and the effects of AD, among other things. And naturally, she also knew how Labo had maintained the facade that it was all related to nuclear power. So she was thoroughly playing dumb this whole time. It's not like I can tell everybody about that. Any ordinary person were to know about those things, they'd immediately be targeted by Labo for the purposes of concealing information. In any case, the dangers were still real. They still had to keep administering AD either way. That thought in mind, she decided to play along and kept going for a while. Eventually, she saw Kuroda and Higa again. Oh shit. Oh, those are the other two. Anna couldn't help but scream. When she saw them again, Kuroda and Higa's appearances had completely changed. Perhaps they were masquerading as Labo researchers, considering they were still wearing their provided lab coats. But the lab coats were no longer white, having been stained deep red by the blood oozing from their countless gunshot wounds. For shot. Given that they were lying with their heads turned towards the door, it was possible that they'd been trying to escape from the room. Various sized holes in their body, especially the big ones in their stomachs, exposed their rust-colored viscera. But Anna couldn't peel her eyes from the dead bodies. What's any of this supposed to mean? Why would Chief Kuroda and Commissioner Higa shot to death? But the rescue worker alone had his neck snapped. Oh shit. I can only think of two answers. All three of those people were together when a terrorist came in, shot Chief Kuroda and Higa, and massacred the rescue worker. Perhaps the rescue worker was the terrorist himself. Chief Kuroda and Higa tried to apprehend the terrorist and fought him barehanded. The scuffle ended a draw, with all three of them dead. She had a feeling the answer was more likely the latter. If she remembered correctly, her father's journal stated that Kuroda had transferred from the National Police Agency and had been an expert in martial arts since childhood. And Higa used to be with public safety. It wouldn't have been surprising if he had matching strength, too. I don't know the truth of the situation. There's one thing I know for sure. Chief Kuroda and Commissioner Higa were killed by the terrorists. Anna gritted her teeth. Please rest in peace. I swear I will avenge you. I swear I won't let there be any more victims than this. She decided to keep up the facade of an ordinary person as she searched for the culprit. Or at least she tried to, but despite her determination, a new victim came up. A body! body has been discovered. Watase looked at the dead body and muttered dumbfoundedly.
誰なんだこの子は。
Anna didn't know either, but she had a hunch. This girl's clothes look almost like a hospital gown. To be that this girl was a test subject confined in Labo. In that case, it was highly possible that Q had killed her. And was Miss Yuuri a test subject too? Could the cause of Captain Kasasagi's amnesia be related to the test subjects? If his amnesia is due to Senses Sympathy, then who erased his memories, and why? Was it this girl before she died, or could it have been Miss Yuuri? Several doubts seized Anna's mind. She considered revealing her true identity and using her gun as a threat to seek out the criminal, but that was too risky. Many of the members of the group were either a terrorist or an ability level 6 communicator, and that whole plan had a high chance of backfiring on her. Now that I think about it, everyone here right now is suspicious. That rescue worker was a terrorist, but Captain Kasasagi, Miss Tachibana, and Miss Moribe might be with the terrorists as well. Then there's Mr. Ukita, a possible sleeper agent, as well as Miss Yuuri, an unidentified girl. There's nobody here I could rely on as an ally. She was only armed with a single gun. She couldn't risk an offensive when she didn't even know her enemy's numbers. Still, I will apprehend the culprit at all costs. It's part of my job as a commissioner. Anna felt the weight of her gun as she made her decision. Protect me, father. And thus Anna began her lonely battle, knowing that anyone could be an enemy. Whoa. Moving time. Natsuhiko and Yuuri returned to reality. This time he didn't have the usual headache and his brain didn't feel like it was swaying. Most likely because Anna was not corrupted by malice. Since he merely connected their minds using Senses Sympathy, his brain and mind didn't appear to be burdened as when he had to confront Subject N. Eventually Anna looked at Natsuhiko and spoke quietly.
終わった？
はい。
悪意は？
ありませんでした。搬出リフトの前で被験体 N に会った時、先生は AD をすぐ投与していたから。
そう。よかった。
Ah. After saying that, Anna gave a somewhat embarrassed smile. You probably could have figured that out if you had replayed that portion of the game recently, but since it's been so long since then, it's appropriately in doubt.
私の正体、分かったのよね。
はい。
びっくりしたでしょ。ずっと騙していてごめんなさいね。
How many times have I heard that today? Natsuhiko wondered as he responded.
僕に知られて大丈夫なんですか？
清廉潔白を証明するためだもの。仕方ないわ。でも秘密にしておいてね。ユーリさんも。はい。
Anna fell silent after that. A tinge of sadness filled her face. Let's see, it's because I read her memory. She ended up remembering many painful memories as well. Every memory that Natsuhiko peeked into, Anna remembered it as well. That was a fundamental rule of Senses Sympathy.
先生、大丈夫ですか？
バカね。心配しなくてもいいわよ。そういう仕事なんだから。
And with that declaration, Anna's facial expression returned to normal.
それよりみんな聞いて。今、隊長さんが三宮さんの攻撃を受けているの。
え？
ちょっと待ってよ。ルイーズちゃんの攻撃を受けているってなんで？あ、そうか。ルイーズちゃんもその BC のせいでおかしくなってんだね。
It's still it's possible, and I'd be really curious for that to be the case. But it's also possible that she's just really determined.
多分そうです。
There was no proof of that, but Natsuhiko just nodded for now. He had no time to explain Watase's true identity.
天川君から三宮さんにテレパシーを送ることはできないの？
やってみたんですが通じないんです。それにサリュは渡瀬の言葉には一切耳を貸さないだろうし。
じゃあ夏彦君が直接言ってルイーズ ちゃんを説得すれば？
You still do have to deal with Kazami.
いや待て、彼は重傷を負ってるんだぞ。そんな危険なことをさせられるかね。
じゃあ私が行く。行ってどうするんですか？決まってる。隊長を助けるんだよ。
Uh-oh. And with that, Jun flew out of the room before anyone could stop her.
本当に単純な人ね。
Hopefully you don't run into Kazami. Anna spoke with a sigh as she gripped her gun.
私も行くわ。あの子だけじゃ何の戦力にもならないし。
じゃあ僕も。
ダメよ。危険だからここにいなさい。
先生は大丈夫なんですか？
心配ないわ。先生はこう見えて社会を影から守るスーパー公務員だからね。
Super civil servant. With that grandiose declaration, Anna left the shelter, leaving only Natsuhiko, Yuuri, Ukita, and the unconscious Mashiro behind. Will those two be okay? Salyu still somewhat sees Professor Tsubakiyama as hostile. Don't know how she feels about Jun, though. She might think Jun's in cahoots with Watase since she's also a rescue worker. Nevertheless, if Watase, Anna, and Jun all work together, they could probably succeed in apprehending Salyu. But someone might get hurt in the process. Damn it. Now let's check on Watase's situation. Natsuhiko tried using Senses Sympathy on Watase. Immediately afterwards, Natsuhiko's vision switched with Watase's. Doing your best, son. You could hear Watase's rough breathing and the sound of dragging feet. Watase appeared to be desperately running through a connecting passageway somewhere. Did he injure his foot?
どうした渡瀬？大丈夫か？
夏彦か。
Watase seems surprised to have heard the auditory hallucination again after so long.
脅かすなよ。これテレパシーか。
まあそうだ。だけど声を出す必要はない。頭で考えてくれれば会話できる。
そうかよ。そりゃ助かる。
で、今どういう状況だ
Watase thought of the answer in his head.
どうもこうもねえよ。猿に襲われ逃げてるところだ。
場所は
地下2階、第3エリア外周塔から第2エリア外周塔に続く連絡通路だ。
If Watase's far enough away, then you might be able to subdue Salyu. Or calm her if he's not present.
第3エリアでサリュに足首をひねられ、足が効かなくなっちまった。それでここまで命からがら。
Sanomiya style ankle lock. It's at that moment that a sound echoed behind him. Oh fuck. Watase turned around to see the security gate open and Salyu appear.
見つかった。夏彦、サリュにテレパシーを送ってくれ。お前なら当然できるんだろ。
無理だと思うけど。
Natsuhiko temporarily suspended Senses Sympathy with Watase to quickly send telepathy to Salyu.
サリュ、僕だ。聞こえるか？渡瀬は味方だ。戦う必要はない。
Natsuhiko repeatedly sent that message. Then once he reinstated sympathy with Watase's senses, he's staring at the ceiling. He saw Salyu approaching Watase. Oh, you're approaching me. She showed no reaction. The telepathy clearly didn't get through. I have to approach you in order to beat the shit out of you.
ダメだ。反応がない。やっぱり AD を投与してるみたいだ。
Did she take the AD?
参ったな。結局力ずくでやるしかないのか。
Watase took a defensive stance. Pain in his ankle propagated to Natsuhiko.
多少の怪我はさせることになるかもしれん。悪いが、それは目をつぶってくれ。なりは小さいが、あの子は猛獣だ。
Correct.
待ってくれ、渡瀬。サリをここにおびき寄せることはできないか？
さっきからそうしようとしてるんだが、これが案外難しくてな。
Watase addressed Salyu.
おいサリュ、今夏彦からテレパシーが届いたぞ。俺のことは無視して第5エリアに行け。あそこに奴がいるんだよ。
あなたの言うことは何一つ信じられない。
It appeared Salyu didn't believe him in the slightest. She was unable to imagine other people's feelings. Therefore, it was probably safer for her to doubt everything and trust nobody.
渡瀬、お前は逃げろ。第2エリア方面から回って N エリア経由でシェルターに戻ってくるんだ。
いいのか？サリはお前の。
いいからとにかく退避を優先してくれ。今ジュンさんと先生にお前を迎えに行かせるから。
Natsuhiko ended Senses Sympathy after giving that answer. Once his own senses returned, he heard Yuri's voice.
ヒコリ、今なんか苦しそうにしてたけど、センシズシンパシーを使ったの？
ああ、それで渡瀬が相当ピンチだってことも分かった。
But now Natsuhiko sent telepathy to Enna and Jun.
先生、ジュンさん、聞こえますか？渡瀬は今、第2エリア方面に移動しています。あいつは足を怪我してます。迎えに行ってあげてください。
And then he used empathy to receive Enna's reply.
分かったわ。第2エリアね。
She was no longer closing her heart. Hey! Once he confirmed she had received the message, he pondered some more. Watase's already beat up senselessly, too. It's not unexpected, though, considering how he's been running around for nearly 8 hours to save everyone. In that case, I'll try too. Natsuhiko made up his mind and spoke to Yuuri.
ユーリ、僕も行くよ。サリュのところに。
隊長さんに止められてるのに。
I do something.
今はもう危険な人物は立花さんしかいないし、そのこのままじゃ渡瀬の身が危険だ。さすがに生還を決め込んではいられないよ。奴が身を削って頑張ってるなら僕も。
Yuuri fell silent at those words for a second, but then she readied herself and spoke.
だったら私も一緒に行く。
ユーリも？
ヒコリン一人じゃ歩くのも辛いだろうし、もし途中で副隊長さんに会ったらその場で記憶修復をしなきゃならなくなるかもでしょ。
Natsuhiko was worried about taking Yuuri with him, but she was indeed right.
分かった。一緒に行こう。おじさんはここで真城を見ていてください。
それはいいが、だったら
Okita took the gun out of his pocket as he spoke.
行くならこの拳銃を持って行きたまえ。途中で立花さんに遭遇するかもしれん。弾はもう2発しかないが、威嚇には使えるだろう。
Okita spoke in a stiff voice. They still didn't quite know what Kazami's intentions were, so it was probably better to be safe than sorry.
わかりました。
Natsuhiko took the pistol and slung it on his belt.
じゃあユーリ、悪いけど肩を貸してくれるか？
Natsuhiko borrowed Yuri's shoulder and tottered out of the shelter. Watase squared off with Salyu as he thought of the conversation he'd just had with Natsuhiko. Sending Moribe and Teach my way, huh? Guess the kids were able to erase their malice. I just left Kazami and the girl he was fighting right now. Now I'm faced with a dilemma. How do I get away? Should I try playing things her way now? Salyu lunged at him as soon as he thought that. Watase mustered his strength and pushed Salyu back away with a sidestep counter. Salyu, now on the floor, did a backward somersault and stood up. Watase took the chance to turn around and run off. You could tell Salyu was chasing him. Pain rushed through his injured ankle with every step he took. As long as I can get there. He soon located his goal. A security gate. Watase swiped his card through the slot. Right as the gate was opening, he destroyed the card slot. Oh! He heard Salyu shout at him from behind. Watase pressed the close button on the other side and ran into Area 2. Salyu chased him. Watase stood in front of the closing gate to block her, then shouted. Bewilderment ran through Salyu's face for a second. And at that moment that the gate shut, separating Watase and Salyu. Smooth. Whew, it sure was close. To get back to the shelter before Salyu circles around to me. Watase limped on over towards the shelter. If he used Area N as a shortcut, he could get to Area 5 much faster. He steeled his resolve, dashing through the connecting passageway that led to the inner ring. Damn it, my feet hurt like hell. Will I make it? Watase endured the pain, opening the gate. Only to see someone there on the other side. thought it was Salyu for a moment, but he was wrong. Someone a bit taller than her was walking towards him through the dimly lit hallway. Watase's eyes widened when he realized who it was.
Kazami.
Oh. Yes, it was none other than Kazami. What is this? He was carrying someone in her arms. Oh, someone with deathly pale skin wrapped in something like a hospital gown. Oh, it was the body of Subject N, the one that mysteriously vanished from the cargo lift. That answers that question. Kazumi muttered that in a quiet voice when she noticed Watase. However, Watase was too perplexed by the sight before him. That would do it. She does remind her of her sister.
何のために？
この子が私の妹だから。渚だからですよ。
Watase felt every hair on his body sticking on end. And he thought about it, she called Subject N by that name when she first saw... What? Wait, you're not serious, are you?
待て、風見。その子は危険体 N と言って。
Oh no. She's...
渚のイニシャルですね。
I'm not clear whether or not she's serious.
違う。その子はラボの中で生まれたコミュニケーターだ。お前の妹はもうずっと昔に。
黙って。
Kazumi interrupted Watase before he could finish. He then gently placed Subject N's body on the floor. After that, she sidled on over towards Watase.
あなたにそんなことを言う資格はないでしょう。渚が死んだのはきっとあなたのせいなんだから。
Now that's what I call malice. Volume 4. Naturally, Watase wasn't responsible for Nagisa's death 9 years ago. Yet Kazumi was looking at him with bloodthirsty eyes.
どうしてこんなことになってしまったの？ねえ、どうしてなのよ、渡せ。どうして私があなたを殺さなければならないの？
Kazumi's words were growing more and more devoid of any meaning. Watase started shuddering. This is... I think being infected with malice can drive someone this far. Kazumi's already lost all trace of rationality. Oh boy. After leaving the shelter, Natsuhiko borrowed Yuuri's shoulder, and together they reached Area 3.
Salyu, どこだ?
They called out Salyu's name to find her. Not much time had passed since Watase had encountered her around here. Watase had gotten away from her here. There was no telling when they'd find her. With that thought in mind, Natsuhiko searched around Area 3, including the connecting passageway between the inner and outer rings, and the emergency stairs.
Salyu, いないのか?
But they couldn't find her.
くそ、どこに彼女は?
他のエリアに行っちゃったのかな。
But not a moment after they whispered that, they heard her voice.
夏彦。
Turned around. She was right there.
Salyu!
ようやく再会できた。
Salyu smiled in relief and dashed towards Natsuhiko. Oh! Salyu's small head sank into Natsuhiko's solar plexus. But Salyu paid no attention and just kept nuzzling her head against him.
とても心配していた。あの男に殺されてしまったのではないかと。
大丈夫だよ。怪我はしてるけど、ちゃんと生きてる。
To put things lightly, but...
そういえば、その怪我でどうやってここまで？
ああ、有利に肩を借りて。
Apparently Salyu hadn't noticed Yuri's presence until then. Salyu took a long, hard look at her before murmuring in confusion.
ユーリって夏彦の幼なじみの？混乱中。
So clearly someone explained Natsuhiko's original situation to her to some degree, and now she is thoroughly confused, understandably.
博士からユーリは9年前に死んだと聞いていた。それで夏彦は彼女の幻覚を見続けていると。
Oh, that settles that.
そうか。やっぱりサリも僕に話を合わせてくれてたんだな。でもユーリは生きていたんだ。9年間この施設にいて僕らと同じく閉じ込められていたんだよ。
His explanation only seemed to make Salyu more and more confused. Guess it's understandable. I mean, it confused the hell out of me, too. That was what Natsuhiko was thinking. But immediately afterwards, Salyu said something completely unexpected.
ユーリ。何？私、あなたをどこかで見たことがある気がする。
Hmm? Natsuhiko gasped. Even if she had heard about the phantom issue, Salyu shouldn't have been familiar with Yuri's appearance. So how?
どういうことなんだ？いつ会ったんだ？
気のせいかもしれないけど、ユーリを見たとき、何か懐かしさのようなものが。
ユーリは会ったことあるのか？
I don't fucking know, Natsuhiko.
ないよ。気のせいだと思うよ。ヒコリンが私の話をサルちゃんにしていたから初めて会った気がしないんだよ。違うかな、サルちゃん。
I wonder if that's the case.
おそらくそうだと思う。今日あなたに遭遇したことはないし、それに博士からあなたの9年前の写真を見せられたことがあった。その面影のせいだと思う。それじゃあ改めて自己紹介だね。
Ignoring the perplexed Natsuhiko, Yuuri spoke to Salyu.
はじめまして、サルちゃん。私、ヒコリンからサルちゃんのことはいろいろ聞いてるの。マシロンと会いたいでしょ。マシロンは第5エリアにいるから連れてってあげる。
Yuuri took Salyu by the hand and began to walk.
じゃあ、夏彦は私が背負っていく。
ああ、頼む。
Oh, picks him up like a pigman. Huh. He felt a little ashamed at having such a small girl carry him, but he didn't want to waste time debating it. Natsuhiko quickly accepted the offer. Head straight for Area 5 by taking a shortcut through Area N. With that thought in mind, they passed through there.
サリュ、大丈夫か？具合悪くなったりしていないか？
放射線のこと？
ああ。
大丈夫。40分ほど前に投与した AD がまだ効いてるから。
Oh, that's comforting.
少しだけ頭が痛むけど、前回訪れた時ほどではない。
That's probably because the WX particle energy levels were decreasing even in Area N. But then Natsuhiko suddenly remembered something. Oops. Did it
ちょ
again.
っと待って。
Natsuhiko spoke up and got down from Salyu's back.
どうしたの？何か問題でも？
いや、ユーリ。
Natsuhiko gave Yuuri an eye signal and sent her telepathy.
一応念のためチェックしたいんだ。サリュが悪意に感染していないかどうかを。
Yuri's face froze at that message.
サリュが AD を投与してても、ここでなら多分 BC が効くだろう。チャンスだから今のうちにやっとくべきだと思うんだよ。
Area N had a reading of over... God damn! Of over 15,000 milliscalar value just 2 hours ago. The reading was probably still over 4,000 milliscalar value. Yuuri frantically shook her head.
必要ないよ、ヒコリン。サルちゃんを信用してないの？
Is this gonna be the one where... Sorry, Yuuri, we're brain diving.
信用してるよ。でも自覚がないのがあの悪意の怖いところだろう。
Natsuhiko's thought was that they should just do it to make sure nothing was wrong, considering everything that could go wrong.
じゃあ花の香りのする記憶があるかどうかだけ確認しよう。それだけでも悪意に感染してるかどうかはわかるはずだから。
ああ、そうだな。
That was Natsuhiko's intention all along.
じゃあ始めるよ。
Hand in hand with Yuuri, he tried using Senses Sympathy. When Natsuhiko looked into those memories, he saw scenes comprising Salyu's day-to-day appear and disappear. When they infiltrated Labo and ran with the terrorists, Salyu promptly yelled,
夏彦真白、逃げて。サリュー、私がここでこいつを倒す。一人はもう気絶しているから、1対1ならなんとかなる。
だったら僕も。
ダメ、夏彦たちじゃ足手まといにしかならない。人質に取られたら対処できない。
Salyu made the most logical judgment. After Natsuhiko and Mashiro had fled and Salyu had knocked down 2 terrorists, a new terrorist appeared. Salyu immediately drop-kicked it, but the force of the impact merely shattered the enemy's faceplate. Third terrorist threw off his protection suit and spoke.
また君か。
またあなたなの。
He was the man who had knocked Salyu out last night at the ruined factory.
悪いことは言わん。さっさと逃げろ。早く逃げないと隔壁が閉ざされ、脱出不可能になるぞ。火星も激しさを増し、焼け死ぬかもしれん。どうやら子供の正義感で俺たちの計画を阻止しようと思っているみたいだ。自分の身を危険にさらしてまで俺と戦って何になる。
Now he mentioned it. What would be the purpose of fighting this man? That was already well beyond the scope of Salyu's role. Why am I going so far to? Thoughts were interrupted by a gunshot. Oops! Her arm felt like it was on fire. Crap. Salyu turned around in shock. She spotted one of the terrorists she had flung away, pointing his gun at her.
バカ、何をやっている？子供に銃など。
お前こそ何やってるんだ。こんなところで孫ついてる暇はないだろう。
Terrorists started quarreling. Salyu took that opportunity to get out of there. Blood seeped out endlessly from the wound on her upper arm. Brachial veins damaged, need to treat it immediately. And in the area at the end of the passageway, she acquired a security card, a disaster prevention manual, and finally, a stapler. Could do temporary first aid with this. Luckily, the bullet had pierced all the way through. Salyu took the stapler to the gunshot wound in her arm and stitched it up. She stifled her voice and treated the exit wound as well. She sank to the floor, breathing roughly. But now she had averted a medical emergency. Now what do I do from here? The terrorist's words echoed in her head.
悪いことは言わん。さっさと逃げろ。自分の身を危険にさらしてまで俺と戦って何になる。
She very well could do what he said and run away. The terrorists' goal was to destroy the town in its entirety with a nuclear meltdown. That running away was pretty much pointless. I can't just run away. We don't stop the meltdown. With that thought in mind, Salyu decided to stay in Labo alone and fight the terrorists. Protect this town, where she had made so many memories. Protect her precious friends, Natsuhiko and Mashiro. There was nothing suspicious about that part of Salyu's memories. Natsuhiko didn't suspect any of her other memories to be falsified either. Salyu really held us in high regard, didn't she? Natsuhiko felt his heart wrench at the thought of her feelings. In any case, I'm really glad Salyu's not infected with malice. That thought in consideration, Natsuhiko ended his check of Salyu's memories. Oh, that's simple enough, I guess. I was hoping to get the Salyu backstory, but why is the scene called Miyoko Tenkawa? Natsuhiko and Yuuri returned to reality.
やっぱり問題なかったな。
As Natsuhiko sighed in relief, Salyu spoke up dubiously.
問題？何のこと？
いや、なんでもないよ。サリュはやっぱり 頼れる仲間だなってことさ。
Natsuhiko smiled at Salyu and changed the subject.
あとは橘さんが戻れば脱出できるけど。
でも外には保安ロッカがいるかもしれない。
Oh no.
隔壁が閉じてからもう10時間近く経つよね。だったらラボ側も被験体の逃走について手を打ってるはず。私たちは保安課にマークされてる。このまま隔壁が開いたら。
They do seem rather indiscriminate in their method of attack, based on the bad ending of the after route.
保安ロッカに捕まってまた幽閉されてしまうか。
Now that you mentioned it, nobody inside knew what the situation was on the outside.
外の様子が知りたいな。BC で誰かに連絡できないか。
外にはたくさん人がいるだろうけど、信用できる知り合いとなるといそうにないよ。
Watase's boss, the commander, might have been trustworthy, but he wouldn't know the kids. Besides, they didn't know his characteristic brain waveforms, so they couldn't send him directional telepathy.
BC のことはよくわからないけど、天川博士と連絡はできないの？
Ah.
そうか、母さんか。
They certainly could trust Dr. Tenkawa. And the possibility that she was on alert outside Leba was high. But Yuuri shook her head.
私もそう思って閉じ込められた当初何度も連絡してたんだけど繋がらなかったの。
隔壁のせいかな。
そうかもしれない。ダブル X 粒子のエネルギー量がこれだけ高まっていれば外にも通信できると思ったんだけど。
It seemed worth another shot. Natsuhiko concentrated his mind.
母さん、聞こえるかい？僕だ、夏彦だ。
Then tried using empathy. No response.
もし聞こえていたら答えを念じてくれ。それを僕がエンパシーで聞く。いきなりこんなこと言われて戸惑うかもしれないけど、僕は BC 能力に目覚めたんだ。
He tried using empathy again. No response.
母さんの助けが必要なんだよ。もし聞こえていたら脱出に手を貸してくれ。
He tried using empathy once more. On the third attempt.
夏彦なの？
Hi, Mom. The professor's voice echoed in his head.
母さん、やっぱりいたのか。
いるわ。本当に夏彦なのね。私はもう心配で胸が張り裂けるかと。
Yes, it worked. Natsuhiko gave Yuuri and Salyu an okay sign and continued communicating with the professor.
母さん、ユーリとずっと通信できてなかったみたいだけど、何かあったのか。
テロ発生直後の爆発に巻き込まれて病院で治療を受けていたの。つい2時間ほど前に戻ってきて、今は
The professor's voice abruptly cut
母
off.
さん、声が聞こえないよ。
これでどう？
まあ、聞こえた。何が起きてるんだ？
床に頭を押し付けてみたら通信できるようになったわ。
Oh my gosh.
すでに知ってるかもしれないけど、地下1階と地上1階を隔てる床と隔壁には分厚い BC 絶縁体が使われてるの。今は WX 粒子エネルギー量が高まっているからなんとか通信できるみたいだけど、一定の域値を下回ったら再び通信不可能になるわ。
So we're gonna go back being on our own again. Means that even though they had finally connected, there was a high possibility that they'd lose contact soon enough. The professor hurriedly asked Natsuhiko a question.
時間がないわ。聞かせて夏彦。そっちの状況はどうなっているの？
Natsuhiko summarized the situation. But the current incident was a terrorist attack by Q. Natsuhiko and Mashita were heavily injured. The conditions inside had gone insane due to the influence of Subject N's malice. But in spite of the severe situation, the survivors were slowly gathering and formulating a plan to escape.
で、母さん、僕らも外の状況が知りたいんだ。そっちはどうなってる？ 核壁が開いたら僕らは逃げられるのか？
Professor painfully answered.
逃げるのは難しいわ。外には保安ロッカーが待機している。
やっぱりか。
ラボ上層部はここで起きた出来事を全てなかったことにするつもりなの。
We still have to overcome Labo. So all in all, test subjects need to survive, and Labo does need to suffer some justice for this shit.
KSN の終了が近づき、突入の準備をしているのよ。
One time, Labo's intentions might have been good, but they went off the rails horribly, and now they're just trying to cover up their own shit and spiraling deeper and darker.
数時間前、主電源の供給がカットされたでしょ。あの時間に主電源を落とせば、核壁が開く頃には予備電源も落ちて、施設内が真っ暗闇になるように見越しているのよ。
Well, that's troubling.
保安ロッカーは今回の一件を Q によるテロだと睨んでいる。銃で武装して照明も落として、核壁が開くと同時にあなたたちを全員確保するつもりよ。
じゃあ僕らの BC で対抗すれば。
ダメ。連中は AD を投与してるし、絶縁体でできた対 BC スーツをも着込んでいる。あなたたち
なんだって。
It seemed that the opening of the bulkheads, their light at the end of the tunnel, would still not allow them to escape. In just an hour, Security Sector 6 would rush in on them. Even though the survivors had yet to gather everyone.
母さん、核壁の解放を遅らせることはできるか？
ごめんなさい、無理だわ。KSN と WX 粒子増幅器暴走が同時に発生した時は全核壁が自動閉鎖する。でも N エリアの WX 粒子エネルギー量が平常値まで減衰したらどうしたって核壁は開いてしまうの。外からどうこうすることは不可能よ。
そうか。
Natsuhiko was discouraged, but then he suddenly realized something. There's no point in delaying the opening of the bulkheads in the first place. The bomb Watase's group set up in Area 0 was set to go off 1 minute after the bulkheads opened. They were given the option of dying in the explosion if they stayed inside, facing security Sector 6 if they went outside. There's nowhere to escape. Should we go down to Area 0 and disarm the bomb? It was impossible to go down to Area 0 now. When Watase's group broke into there, they needed the retina authentication of 2 high-ranking researchers.
母さん、網膜認証なしにゼロエリアに降りる方法はあるか？
あることはあるわ。最後の手段だけど。
何？
私がユーリちゃんたちのためにずっと用意してきたものがあるの。
Oh.
ブレインセルの権限を奪うハッキングソフト。
Oh.
ハッキングソフト？
私が組んだプログラムよ。それを使えばブレインセルを操作することで施設内の全機能を自由に使用することができるわ。
Well, well.
各エリアのセキュリティも解除できる最上位の権限よ。
どうして母さんそんなものを？
At that moment, Natsuhiko recalled what he heard in Yuri's memory.
いよいよになったら私の命に変えてもあなたたちを外に出してあげるわ。実はね、密かにそのための準備を進めてるの。一人ではできないことだから難航してるんだけど、いつかは必ず。
Is that what she was referring to?
母さん、そのソフトはどこにあるんだ？
私の研究室の奥の棚の下の方に入ってるわ。形状はユイが持っていたものと同じアームス。棚には鍵がかかっているけど壊して取り出せばいい。使い方はブレインセルにそのアームスを優先接続するだけ。
We're gonna save the day with a ferret. That's the best possible outcome.
ブレインセルの3つの制御用端末に認証画面が出るわ。
Best possible outcome.
その認証画面を操作すれば権限を奪える。
How do I use them?
なるほど。
You authenticate.
それはわかりやすくていい。
What do I authenticate with?
ただ 注意点が2つ。まずブレインセルは3つの制御システムから成り立っていて、相互に監視し合っているの。
What do I authenticate with? Username admin, password 1111.
3つの制御用端末を同時に操作しなければダメ。そしてその作業は1人ではできない。
Okay, that's a bit better.
権限を奪うのには3人必要だってことを忘れないで。
ああ、3人くらいならどうとでもなるよ。ユーリもサリもいるし。
そう。それじゃあもう一つの注意点。不法に権限を奪ってもすぐに奪い返されてしまうわ。
Kida had said something to that effect once before. Use of hacking software would apparently not make a difference in hacking attempts.
権限を奪えるのはせいぜい30秒。それまでになんとかゼロエリアのセキュリティを解除して。
あ、わかった。
So in other words, to get down to Area 0, three of them had to steal root authority from Brain Cell in the control room and negate Area 0's security. And then they had to send Watase or someone else to go down and disarm the bomb. It's a do or die plan, but we've got no other choice.
ありがとう母さん。やってみるよ。
頑張ってね、夏彦。その間に私もできる限りのことをしておくから。
できる限りのことって。
私は核壁が開くまでの間に保安ロッカーの包囲を解けるかどうか試してみる。
できるのか？ラボの職員も保安課も味方にはなってくれないだろう。
でもレスキュー隊の人々だけは6名士の連中の息がかかってないの。消防局は独立組織だから。
Oh?
レスキュー隊員たちを説得すれば味方に。
って大丈夫なのか？そんなことしたら母さんも死の連中に目をつけられて。
いいのよ。私の食材にはちょうどいいわ。
Oh, I'm getting twitchy again.
私はね、夏彦。こんな日が来るのを心のどこかで待っていたのよ。私はラボが腐敗していくのをずっと見過ごしてきた。だからこれは私にとってもいい機会。
With the professor's voice cut off there.
母さん、聞こえないよ。
ゼイはいよいよエネルギー量が限界にが途切れる前に伝えるわ。
In an instant, the professor's thoughts cranked out at high speed to send a message.
できるかどうかわからないけど、私はあなたたちのためにできる限りのことをする。あなたのことはもちろん、ラボに幽閉されていた子たちもみんな私の大切な存在なの。誰より大切な息子と娘たちなのよ。愛してるわ、夏彦。外で必ず。
母さん、母さん。
Natsuhiko called out to the professor. But that was the definite end to their connection. I mean, I know people thought that Natsuhiko kind of came around to his mom a bit too quickly back in the start of this segment, but I feel like this is the point where she cements her place and what she stands for. That line there. You and all the kids are precious to me. You're all my children. I love you. She's had to do some bad stuff, or she's had to be complicit in some bad stuff, but in the end, she's still a good person. And she's finally ready to stand up for what's right.
母さん、そんな無茶だよ。
Yuuri and Salyu gasped at that utterance.
博士がどうかしたの？無茶って外で何が？
僕らのために外を囲んでる保安ロッカと対立して脱出の道を開こうとしてるんだ。そんなことしたら殺されるかもしれないのに。
It was a very real possibility, and not just paranoia. His mother probably thought the same thing, which is why she hadn't taken any action before today. But Yuuri,
博士ならきっとそうするだろうね。ねえヒコリン、博士がどうして毎日ラボに寝泊まりしてまで研究を頑張ってたと思う？博士の研究テーマの一つがコミュニケーターの寿命の延長だったからだよ。
oh, now you're just rubbing it in.
コミュニケーターの寿命が短いのはがんの発生率が高いのと脳疾患の発生率が高いせい。でも博士はその2つの死因を抑制できないかずっと探ってたんだ。遺伝子治療のエキスパートの人たちを外部から客員として呼んで共同研究したりして、私たちの命を伸ばすために博士は毎日身を削って働いてたんだよ。もう10年近くもずっと。
Natsuko's heart throbbed in pain. He recalled the words the professor had said when they met just yesterday.
私はあなたのためを思って。
That's what she meant. Everything she did was to try and prolong your life.
あなたのために頑張ってるのに。
She couldn't go into detail, but in her heart she knew she just wanted her son to live longer.
どういう意味だよ母さん。今回の一件と何か関係があるのか？
God, you're wrenching my heart like this.
何もないわ。いつか話せる時が来ればとは思うけど。
Miyoko Tenkawa is a good mom changed my mind. I'm such an asshole. I knew nothing, yet I went off at a tirade and hurt my own mother. I will admit that that should not have been unexpected on her part, considering everything she kept from you. In your situation, Natsuhiko, your rant was justified. Just because you have new information that helps you understand what's going through her mind now doesn't make your rant any less justified. Natsuko finally understood the meaning of his mother's tears. The professor could not reveal her true intentions to even her own son. But doing so would be the same as condemning him to a deadly fate. Therefore she had kept everything sealed away in her heart, and dedicated her entire life to research to save Natsuhiko and the others. As Natsuhiko froze in shock, Yuuri gently whispered to him,
ヒコリン、あまり自分を責めないで。博士も仕方ないって言っていたよ。息子を一人にしてしまったことは事実だからねって。でもね、博士はね、ヒコリンを本当に大切に思ってるんだよ。寿命延長の研究も進んで、がん発生率を抑えられる可能性も出てきたらしいの。博士が費やした10年間がコミュニケーター全員の命を伸ばすかもしれないんだよ。あんなすごいお母さんどこにもいないよ。
本当だな。
Intense regret pressed down on Natsuhiko's heart. But he withstood it. Now's not the time to wallow in regret. Now is the time to protect the lives his mother risked to connect. Their own lives. To escape alive and apologize to her.
ヒコリン、必ず博士に会おうね。私たちのお母さんに。
Aw, that confirms their family relationship. Natsuko strongly nodded at those words. I'm so glad. It just feels right for them.
だったら早く渡瀬たちと合流しなきゃな。
うん。そろそろシェルターに戻っていてもいい頃だけど。
ああ、あいつの現在位置を確認しよう。
With that, Natsuhiko tried using Senses Sympathy on Watase. But connecting with Watase had become difficult as well. Possibly because he's unconscious at the hands of, Kazami. We will see. Welcome to the Tip Zone, where we read tips, which are mostly relevant to the story that we just experienced. Let's go backwards to forwards. Yoko Murakami, Commander of Sirius, age 47, rank Battalion Chief. For his many achievements through dispatches, he received many promotions and worked his way up the ranks to Battalion Chief. Though he regrettably has not done any frontline firefighting recently, his physicality is not atrophied in the slightest. He was once attached to a rescue squad himself. His tempered body and durable spirit earned him the nickname Iron Murakami. I love that. He highly values Watase, who has a similar nickname, and has high hopes for him as Sirius's field captain. Murakami works earnestly so as to not let any disorder arise in the chain of command, which backfires since he didn't notice the truth of Labo concealed by the Rokumi city government. Thus he ends up unwittingly working to support them. I guess by... How is he complicit in that? I see the point they're trying to get at, which is... by blindly following orders and focusing on keeping his own ranks in line, he might not be noticing the inner intricacies of the government and Labo and their interactions. But how would he have been connected with Labo to the point where he'd be seeing the true shady shit? Not sure. He's just kind of unrelated to all this. I mean, Watase was in the Sirius for how long, and he didn't know about it until Ukita contacted him. Unless we're saying that Murakami didn't see Q infiltrating his team coming, which would be fair. A fair criticism. Now time for, Enna's mates here. Iga, a communicator commissioner attached to the ESP Bureau, age 38. A silent, steady man, but also a master of Uechi Ryu Karate. A variant of one of the 3 styles of Okinawan martial arts, with a body of steel underneath his suit. As part of his duties as a commissioner, he acted as Kuroda's right-hand man in promoting the conduction of secret inspections of Rokumi City and Labo. However, after their superiors rejected their repeated proposals for compulsory inspection, Kuroda and Higa had essentially given up. What reunited their sense of justice was the straightforward look in Enna's eyes that reminded them of the late Jin Tsubakiyama. During the compulsory inspection of Labo, Kuroda and Higa confronted Dojima and Hiyama, both of whom had guns. Higa was shot to death trying to get En away from them. Ah, that would do it. Hey, who's that girl? She a test subject? The fuck you doing with her? What? Who the fuck are you? Blat blat. Snap. Crackle pop. Dead. And that's the summary of that scene. Kuroda. Tetsuyoshi Kuroda. Pardon me. Chief of the ESP Bureau, Communicator Commission, Division 1. Age 44. Master in Taiho Jutsu, with a competency of a 5th Dan black belt in Nippon Kempo. He was transferred from the National Police Agency and served as both an assistant commissioner and as bodyguard for Alice in Flames Commissioner Jin Tsubakiyama. He respected Jin and smiled wholeheartedly when his daughter, Anna, was assigned to his division. However, when the division began their compulsory investigation of Labo, he fought with the malice-infected Hiyama and Dojima, who had En at gunpoint. Oh. Kuroda spent his final moments protecting En with his body the same way that Jin Tsubakiyama had done for A. Oh. I'm a bit sad that we only had this explained through us from tips. But at least we got that explained for us. Oh, so... At this point, Dojima and Hiyama have been affected by En. They've seen the effects of En. They've seen En's rather stilted reactions. Probably saw her stilted reactions again. They pulled a gun on her because what the fuck? Plus anti-communicator malice. What are you doing to me? You're a communicator. You must die. These two come in. What are you doing? Why are you shooting that girl? Is she a communicator? Is she a test subject? What the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna get between you. Blat blat dead. And now for something completely different. Tumor suppression gene refers to a class of genes that are said to function in the inhibition of carcinogenesis. Tumor suppressor genes that have been discovered include P53, PTC, SDHD, and others. Standard definition, high definition, tumor suppression. It's a joke. The IGF2R gene is said to perhaps be one as well. BC abilities come out as a result of IGF2R gene mutations. Communicators have also been found to have mutations in some other of the aforementioned tumor suppression genes, leading some to believe that there is a connection with those mutations in the communicator's short lifespan. that is high susceptibility to cancer. The truth is hidden from the general public. Secret research is being done to extend communicator lifespans, including gene therapy, which very well may necessitate the forfeiture of BC ability. In that case, for what purpose exactly does BC exist? Why are there some humans born with that ability? Many particle physicists, geneticists, brain physiologists, even philosophers and linguists see BC as a pressing issue. Why are we here? Just to suffer? Why am I in such a memey mood today? This is a serious topic. I feel like I've gone over this before, where I mean, I should probably do some research to see if the idea of genes that stop you from sprouting with tumors everywhere are a thing. I don't know that. That's not my field of expertise. Do I have a field of expertise? I have a field of mild experience. I'd hardly call I had a field of expertise. But, like, I feel like the explanation which kind of makes sense to me is that I'll feel really silly if tumor-suppressing genes are a thing, but I like genes that control normal cell growth. And when that gene mutates, that standard of what normal cell growth is also mutates, which makes you more likely to get cocked up and for abnormal growths to form, which is essentially cancerous, right? Or tumor formation, at least. Abnormal cell growths. I do not know what the fuck I'm talking about, but does at least my thought about that make sense? More of a, like, proper blueprint for how cells are supposed to grow and develop in the body. When that gets mucked up by mutations that cause BC, you're more susceptible to having stuff go wrong and tumors form. I'm gonna Google the term tumor suppression gene and see if it's a thing that exists. Windows wants me to update. I want Windows to fuck off. Tumor suppressor gene. That's a thing that exists. Well, I'm silly. Normal genes that slow down cell division, repair DNA mistakes, or tell cells when to die. Process known as apoptosis or programmed cell death. When tumor suppression genes don't work properly, cells can grow out of control, which can lead to cancer. Shit, so the term exists, but it kind of sort of sounds like similar to the impression I got. Right? Regulates a cell, cell's normal functions, and when that suppressor gene gets screwed up, that's when things go wrong, get out of control, and tumors form. Shit, so I was wrong and I was right. Hell yeah. I did a science. Amazing. I've never done a science. Well, I did one science. It went badly, though. That's why I'm in the position I'm in now. Just kidding. I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, I'm really running wild today. I don't know what's going on. I'm in a good mood. Am I in a good mood? I don't know. Enough rambling from me. Hope you enjoyed. Did I enjoy? I think so. I did, actually. Thank you so much for watching. Ta-ra for now.